If there's one thing Nintendo made clear this generation is they're not dumb. You don't accidentally sell this many Switches by accident. After the Wii U, it truly was do or die for Nintendo to a certain degree. But clearly they came in this generation with a plan. And not only did they come into this generation with a plan, they also done something that is borderline impossible to do, and that is change people's perspective. As far back as I can remember, gaming has always been about who had the most powerful console. But while Xbox and PlayStation were busy puffing out their chests at one another, Nintendo proved something. They proved that even though gamers do want some power behind their console, the thing that gamers really want is good games and lots of them. But now that this console generation is kind of wrapping up, looking back at the success of the Switch, there's a few just really big missed opportunities that Nintendo just completely didn't capitalize on, which is weird because Nintendo really likes money. So for today's video, I thought it would be fun to discuss some of Nintendo's biggest missed opportunities they missed out on with the Switch. But before we begin, I'd like to clarify something. As I mentioned before, the Switch was far from being a failure. And I don't think that these missed opportunities necessarily would have led to more sales, but some of these opportunities definitely would have led to more money, while other opportunities is more or less just to keep the fan base happy. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing because it does kind of roughly translate to dollars. If your fans are happy, they'll probably spend more on you. But without further ado, let's go right into the video. The first opportunity that I really genuinely believe they'd really missed out on is something that a lot of people have been asking for too. And that of course is themes. Such a boring answer because we've been hearing about this for so long. One of the reasons that I've heard at least that, Nintendo opted to not give a lot of theme options for is because they really wanted the Switch to be really snappy. And what I mean by snappy is basically if your Switch was off, it would turn on really fast because there wasn't really much to load. In the same way that, let's say you wanted to go back to the home screen, there was nothing really there to load either, so you could pop right out right away. And of course, if you have to load in a video or an image or sound, that's kind of gonna take more time to load in general. However, I think although that is a good reason, I don't think it holds up as well as people might think. For instance, one thing that you could argue against having videos as backgrounds or themes is, it takes up RAM, which is absolutely a valid point. However, I have a live background on my PC, but when I game, it kind of just shuts it off in the background. If you really wanted it to work, I think you could probably end up doing something like that too, so that, the RAM that's taken to run the video is not used when you're playing games. It'll shut off in the background and it'll only come back live once you get to the home screen. But still, I think we could have lived without, the live wallpapers. That's a bit extra, it would have been really nice, but it's okay if that wasn't possible. So moving away from, live backgrounds, I think images entirely could have been possible. It would have been really cool that if you were able to take the screenshots you take within the game, put them in the back. Or even let's say you buy a game and it comes with the key art for the game that you can set up as a background. And of course, let's say they were to sell some backgrounds on the eShop for 99 cents, they would have made a killing. And as I mentioned in the past, which is absolutely no secret at all, Nintendo really reached a very wide audience with the Switch. And I'm sure that some people who are watching this video might say, hey, I don't care about themes, it's just good as it is. Let's be real. The Switch has a really healthy population of cozy gamers that would be absolutely frothing at the mouth at the opportunity to really personalize their device. But let's go one last step further. Let's say videos were not possible. Let's say images and maybe a little bit of music also was not possible. You can't tell me that not being able to change our color more than just black or white was not possible. I think at the bare minimum, it would have been really nice if Nintendo let us go in the settings and maybe input a hex code to just change the color to any color you want. Hey, you know what? It is the bare minimum. But still, I think a lot of people even would have been happy with that. Cause man, I had my Switch since year one and I've been looking at the same black background for 8 years now. Any change would have just been nice. But either way, let's move on to the second opportunity. The second opportunity that I think Nintendo really dropped the ball on is custom Joy-Cons, and I mean that in two senses. In the first sense, I can't believe they never ever made custom shaped Joy-Cons, and by that I mean this. I remember way back in the day when the Switch was coming out, people were saying, hey, it's really cool how the Switch can, detach the Joy-Cons. This opens up the possibility of, let's say, having GameCube Joy-Cons. They can change the shape of the Joy-Con itself, which is a fantastic idea, which I have no idea why Nintendo never decided to capitalize on this. I'm unfortunately one of those Smash Bros. Player that can't play unless I have a GameCube controller, which is weird because I'm not that good at the game anyways, but still, I just can't play for shit if I don't have a GameCube controller. I would have, without hesitation, bought that immediately. Another thing Nintendo did by doing this is leaving a gap in the market for somebody else to take advantage of instead of themselves. Most people who watch this will most likely agree, maybe not everyone, but still, Joy-Cons aren't that comfortable to hold, especially like in handheld mode. They're very small and really flat, so they're kind of awkward, and they're not the most ergonomic device to hold. However, that's not necessarily an issue because for the people that want something more comfortable to hold, they can buy the Pro Controller. But the Pro Controller is more to use when you're in TV mode, and it absolutely just blows my mind that Nintendo never came out with Pro-Cons. Actually, now that I say it out loud, they'd absolutely never name it the Pro-Cons because, the pros and cons, Pro-Cons. Anyways, Joy-Con Pros, you know what I mean. And since Nintendo did leave that market open, it did lead to a lot of third-party companies jumping on the opportunity to create these. I did recently pick up some of these Joy-Con replacements, and you know what? The second I put them in my hand, I'm like, wow, I can't believe Nintendo left this opportunity on the table for somebody else, but hey, choices were made, and bad ones at that. Because if you do look at their website, there are some options there available, but they're not really first-party Nintendo, it's still a third-party making them. And like I said, it baffles me that Nintendo didn't sit down themselves to do it. Would they have been expensive? Yeah, most likely, but I think a lot of people would probably be ready and willing to pay for it, so. And now moving on to the other sense, I can't believe that Nintendo never let you create your Joy-Con color combo. Now, I know what you're thinking. But Acadrien, if you do go on the website, there's literally a section right there for you to be able to create exactly whatever color combo you want with the Joy-Cons, buy the ones you want. To which, factually, yes, it is true, you can go and create your color combo that you want, but no, not really. If you do go on the website, you'll quickly see that you're able to select, the colors you want, but you're really kind of limited. For example, let's say I want a just blue Switch, 2 blue Joy-Cons. You can do that, you can do 2 gray Joy-Cons, you can do 2 neon pink Joy-Cons, you can do 2 red Joy-Cons, but that's it. Let's say you wanted 2 neon green Joy-Cons. Nope, you can't. You can only have a neon green Joy-Con if it's the right Joy-Con. Let's say I want 2 pastel purple Joy-Cons. Nope, you can only have the left Joy-Con as pastel. I understand why they did this. It's pretty much just the regular color combos you can find in stores but separated, but still, even if it's just in limited quantities and they don't always restock them, it would have been really nice to be able to go on the website and have the same colors but for both sides so that you can kind of customize it in whatever way you want. But enough Joy-Con talk, let's move on to the next missed opportunity. But before we do so, I have a short message. If this is your first time here, hey, my name's Acadrien and I post weekly Nintendo videos. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider liking and subscribing, and without further ado, let's go right back into the video. The third missed opportunity that I cannot believe, actually no, I can completely believe it because it's such a Nintendo move, is the game sales, but specifically the limited time games. Why are they gone? I won't spend too long on this point because I feel like a lot of people already kind of expressed how they felt about this, but 3 games specifically come to mind. First and foremost, of course, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Why is that gone? That game definitely could have been an evergreen game that would have sold throughout the console generation, but no, they had to go and make it limited. Why did they make that limited? Absolutely to make artificial scarcity, to really scare people, and really try to capitalize off of FOMO, and I did not like that at all. Now, I wanted the game from the get-go, I bought it, I played it, I liked it, whatnot, but still, I think it's just a really shitty business practice. The second game is Super Mario 35. You went through all the work to create a game that adds value to your Nintendo Online service. And then you turn around, you make it a limited time, remove it, meaning you're removing value from the service itself. I understand it was for Mario's 35th anniversary, but there's still no good reason to have deleted that. And finally, a game that I feel a lot of people kind of forget about, but I will never forget about as a Fire Emblem fan, is Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. This was a port of the first ever Fire Emblem game that was never released in North America, meaning they went through the troubles of translating the entire game to bring it to Western audiences just to delete it. Now, if they wanted to do a limited time physical copy, I absolutely understand because, you know, it's a very niche game. But why delete it off the eShop? It makes absolutely no sense at all. But now let's move on to the final missed opportunity, and that is Street Pass. I feel like Street Pass is one of those things of you don't know what you got till it's gone. Because I didn't feel like I heard that many people talk about it when we were in the Wii U 3DS era. Obviously, the Wii U did not have the feature because the Wii U you could only use from within your house. Whereas the 3DS was supposed to be portable and you were supposed to bring it with you everywhere, so it made sense to have Street Pass. And when Nintendo decided to merge both their handheld and home console market, I think not including it was a mistake. Now, of course, Street Pass is one of those things that work better when there's a lot of people that own the devices that have that feature. So yeah, at first maybe it wasn't a mistake not having it, but now that so many people have Switches and they actually do bring them everywhere where they go, I think it kind of really did become a missed opportunity. Now, why do I say that? First of all, you never say no to another feature. But that aside, I feel like the true appeal of Spot Pass was a sense of community. Looking back at my childhood when I used to bring my 3DS everywhere, I think one of the most fun things about having your 3DS in public is when you would take it out of your pocket and you would see that green light. Cause I remember when I would see that green light, I would frantically look around to see if I could spot anybody else with a 3DS because, you know, you knew you passed by another Nintendo fan, you felt a part of something. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I don't necessarily think that this feature would have been a system seller, but what I do believe is that this would have been a type of feature that would encourage people even more than ever to take their Switch out with them in public. That way, the people that don't have a Switch will constantly be exposed to the device. And who knows, over time, all that exposure might push them into wanting to buy a Switch. But with all that being said, now I turn the discussion to you. Let me know down in the comments, are there any other opportunities that you think Nintendo missed out on? Once again, if you enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider liking and subscribing, and until next time, Wadao!